Hello, everyone. This is Ken from Vintage Card Voyage, and I have with me
Marc?
Marc, as always, and we have a special guest today. In my card journey, I do go to lots of shows. I go to the National now just about every year, and this last year, I got a chance to meet somebody who's considered the godfather of star basketball. So we'll ask him a bunch of questions about Star, but Steve, can you introduce yourself to our audience?
Steve Taft, longtime dealer, collector, and I guess sports enthusiast goes with that.
Yeah, and one of the best people to deal with, I think. I spent, I think, at least 30 minutes at your table. I bought a Grail card from Steve's table. I bought the Bill Russell rookie card, which has been on my list for decades. And I finally found one kind of in the shape I was looking for. And Steve wasn't even selling it. I think he had it on consignment, right? You were selling it for somebody else.
Yeah, a lot of my business is consignment nowadays. You know, it's a little tricky for me to compete with some of the major auction houses.
Yeah.
And by taking consignments, it's easier on the cash flow. It allows me to pay a higher price in theory for the card, since I don't have to carry it as a part of the cash inventory. So I do a lot of that. And, you know, part of that goes to the time that I've been doing this as a dealer and having so many customers going back many, many years. And some of them, you know, will have me take a consignment. And then sometimes I'm dealing with people that are hitting their 60s or 70s, and they don't have family to pass the collection on to. And sometimes I take collections and help liquidate for people.
Yeah, that's great. And before we deep dive, I think, Marc, you were going to ask some basic starting questions, correct?
Yeah. Steve, so when did you start collecting? And who or what did you collect when you were doing so?
Well, let's see, I think it was probably 1966 when I first started buying packs from the local liquor store, 7-Eleven, Save-On, those types of stores. And then probably a year or two later, you know, getting the sporting news and looking in the back at the classified ads, seeing Larry Fritch and Card Collectors Company, a couple other advertisers back there, I started ordering in the late 60s from some of those dealers. And by, I think it was 1971, I think, I started going to a show in, I'll say Anaheim. It might have technically been Santa Ana. It's a couple miles from Disneyland. And it might have been the first regular card show in the country. And if it wasn't the first, I'm sure it was second or third. And it was an interesting show. It was at a junior high school. And John Parks, who's was a longtime dealer and collector. He was a teacher there, and he got the cafeteria one night per month. And when you look back at that show, people that would go to it was Goody Goldfaden, Doug Averett, Jack Petroselli, Jim Now, Dave Kohler, Will Davis, and Merv Williams. Just, it was literally a who's who of card collectors and dealers. And I think I went to that show for probably 4 years. I'm not sure how long it lasted after I stopped going. I was playing high school and college golf at the time, so especially in college with golf tournaments, kind of got tough to go to card shows at that point.
Yeah. That's cool. That was probably the beginning of the card show scene in California.
Yeah, I think it was. And, some of the things I got to buy there, with my $5 or $10 was pretty amazing when you look at it now. And, but that was, where I got my start in the organized hobby between the sporting news and then that card show. And
what were you collecting specifically?
Well, I collected pretty much all sports. I'm from a sports family. My dad was a high school and college football coach and track and field also. So, I probably had a football in my crib when I was a week old. That's all I knew was sports. And I would buy whatever packs were at the store. If it was baseball, I'd buy the baseball packs, and at some point there was some football and basketball, and I even bought some hockey packs just because that's what was there. And through the organized hobby, I think I bought one of my favorite stories is going to Goody Goldfadden's store in Santa Monica when I was probably 12 years old, give or take, and buying 4 T206 cards for $5, $1.25 each. 2 Ty Cobbs. I'm trying to remember. I think it might have been a Cy Young and maybe a Walter Johnson. I definitely remember the 2 Ty Cobbs, but the other two are a little foggy. Pardon?
Do you still have those cards?
No, I think I sold the first Ty Cobb for about $30. And it's like, hey, I made almost 30 times my money. And then the next one, I think I sold it for maybe $60 or $70. And of course, now it's like, I wish I had those two back. But what are you supposed to do when you're making 25 to 60 times your original investment, and you're a card dealer? Seems like it's time to sell.
So, if it's possible, what is your favorite card, and why? If you could narrow that down.
I don't know if I have a favorite card. Probably from a sentimental point, it might be John Wooden's Hall of Fame bookmark, just because as far as I know, that's his first card. And I got to know Coach fairly well later in his life, and he signed a couple of those for me. So maybe that one. I kind of like that Nike 5x7 counter display cards from 84, 85, 86 of Jordan. Those are, I think, pretty neat cards. And obviously I'm fairly partial to the Star Company cards from 83 to 86. But I don't know that I have an absolute single favorite card, though. Over the years, I can't say I've had every card, but I've had a lot of cards over the years.
It sounds like that one is a pretty good choice, from at least obviously from a sentimental.
Yeah, it's not the rarest card, but I've got a personal attachment to it. So I guess if I had to pick one, that might be the one.
Okay, and that's what matters. It's, it means something to you.
Yeah.
So what would you say is the card that got away, either that you sold and regretted, or you didn't pull the trigger soon enough on?
Well, those 2 Ty Cobbs got away. And I can't I can't even tell you how many SCD, Global, and BGS 8.5 Jordan 101 star rookies I sold from $1,500 to $4,000, a few years back. And, every one of those, I think it'd be nice to have a couple of those back right now. It's when you decide that you're not necessarily a collector and you're a car dealer, there's only so much stuff you can put in the drawer and save for a rainy day, just because at some point you got bills to pay.
Yep.
So typically, if I get something in, every once in a while I'll put something away for a little while. And in my youth, I used to put a few things away, but as I just hit senior citizen status recently, the idea of putting something away for 10 or 20 years just doesn't quite work now.
What does your collection look like now?
I don't really have a collection now. About the only thing that I would call a collection is my John Wooden stuff. And I've got, somewhere between 70 and 90 signed on the cover, UCLA related programs, media guides, and a few other publications. And I personally got Coach to sign every one of them. And that batch includes a Indiana State High School championship program from, I think it's from 1926.
Oh, wow.
I've never seen another one. I'm sure there's a couple out there somewhere, but I've never seen one of those. I have a couple of his high school class yearbooks and all four of his Purdue class yearbooks.
Nice.
And I have some of the UCLA basketball banquets. I have the programs from a few of those, including the 1948 banquet program that shows incoming coach Johnny Wooden. And I thought that was pretty cool because that's just announcing him as the incoming coach for next season. And that's one of my favorites out of that batch. And I've got the signed media guide from each year Coach Wooden had a championship team. So that's kind of my collection now. From a standpoint of cards, I had a lot of the Topps baseball sets, a couple of the Bowmans from back in the pre-85 back to 1948 or so. But those are all long gone.
Steve, did you get the chance to watch Wooden coach teams when you were a kid in LA?
Only on TV.
Okay.
And I saw a lot of that. And because of my dad's coaching background, I got to do a lot of things that a lot of people maybe didn't get to do. Hang out at the Coliseum in the tunnel, before Pro Bowl games, and see some people that were pretty well known in the LA area in the sports world, and a lot of my basketball interest, came from playing through high school. Not that I was any good or anything, but around 82, when I was a club golf pro, a lot of the members would get tickets for Dodger games and Laker games. And at a certain point, I was sharing Laker tickets during the Showtime era for about from 82 to 87.
Oh, wow.
So that's where I got to see a lot of basketball. And I'll tell people to this day, I've never seen better basketball,
Mm-hmm.
you know, in the NBA wise from that Lakers Showtime era, the Lakers Celtic rivalry.
Yep.
And of course, I'm putting that in a different classification from Coach Wooden's run of 10 championships in 12 years, because that was nothing short of spectacular. And I don't think that's going to be duplicated at any time in the future.
That's a good point. Like if you think about being in LA from the late 60s all the way through the Showtime run into the late 80s, there's not a better place to have been a UCLA Laker fan. I mean,
Yeah,
how many titles between the two of them?
yeah. It was really something to be able to watch that. You know, the pro games, I got to go to a lot of them. And then, like I said, the UCLA, that was TV I had to watch, but that was pretty good too. Watching, you know, Kareem's teams, and then of course Bill Walton's teams. Yeah, there you go.
How about this from you, Steve, this summer?
Yeah, you know, the artist that did that original painting is a friend of mine, Terry Smith.
Mm-hmm.
And in fact, he's in the Bay Area. I don't know how close to you, but yeah, that's a pretty neat set.
And when I
bought I don't know, 100 and something sets of those back in the day.
there's 5 cards that come with it, right?
Yeah. Yep.
And so he's the one that did the provisions as well. Is that correct?
Yeah. Yes. I don't know if he did every single Provisions painting, but he did a whole bunch of them. I know he did Jordan and Magic, and I think he did Jerry Rice. I could be mistaken if I said he did every one in every sport, but I think he did the majority of them or more. Would have to double check that.
Does he have a gallery up here? Is there somewhere to see his sports art?
I've been in a couple different offices that he has, and they're not, quote, open to the public that I'm aware of. But if somebody was interested in his original artwork, you know, they can contact me and I can check with Terry and see if something's available. There's
I would love
times when he's willing to part with an original piece, but typically he likes to keep his original pieces. I think he's only sold, I don't know, 4, 5, 6. And once again, I could be completely wrong about that. But last I talked to him about that, he hadn't sold very many. I think there's a bit of a sentimental attachment on his part to those. But he's done a lot of paintings, you know, that have ended up on cards, and then he did those small stars figurines. It's been pretty active in the development of sports collectibles over the years.
Do you know if he ever did work with Upper Deck?
I'm not sure. I know he did a lot with Fleer, and then Cola Collection, Diamond Marks. That was something he was involved with. And then that Lakers Forum anniversary set.
Yep.
Probably a few others that I can't think of off the top of my head, but
Very cool.
Yeah. Yeah. Terry actually played basketball at Stanford back in, 78 to 81 or 2. I might be off by a year or two in either direction, but um, he played a little basketball in his day.
Very cool.
Yeah.
So last question from me. When you did start collecting, were you kind of doing it from a collector focus, or did you have more an investment focus?
Yeah. Yeah. As a kid, I was completely a collector. And what essentially happened is when I got into college, this was in 76, and I was playing on the golf team. And I wasn't really active, but I noticed a couple of the cards that I bought, for a couple dollars or whatever, all of a sudden were worth, 100, or a couple of them were worth 400 or 500. And that kind of piqued my attention. And that's when I started doing a little bit of selling also. And after college, when I was doing my golf pro stuff, when you're a golf pro at a country club, you work weekends. You do. You don't ask for weekends off because you can't get off. But maybe once or twice a year, I could still do a card show on a weekend off of my regular vacation time or something. So I did very few shows in the early 80s, but then when I got out of the golf business, I started doing a lot of shows, and kind of evolved from a part-time seller to a full-time seller as the value of my collection got a little better and allowed me to sort of make a living at it.
Mm-hmm. And Steve, I'm a very bad golfer, so I'm curious, which clubs were you a pro at?
First one was Braemar Country Club in Tarzana, San Fernando Valley. And then I went out to the desert for one season at a place called Rams Hill Country Club, Borrego Springs. I was out in the middle of nowhere, basically, a little west of the Salton Sea. Nice golf course, though. And after that, I did the retail golf, and then I did the wholesale golf. And when the first Gulf War started was that 91?
Mm-hmm.
It was 91. Golf business really started to struggle, and that's when I kind of went from part-time to full-time in cards. But I did my share of card shows from the late 70s, to 1990. But then around 1990, I started doing a lot of card shows.
And Steve, have you ever owned a store? Have you ever done anything with?
No, I never had an interest in doing that. Security reasons, overhead, store rent, all of that stuff. It's a tough way to make a living. And I just didn't want to be boxed in to that.
Well, I think it worked out pretty well for you.
Yeah, there's times when I look back and I go, I probably could have done a little better in the corporate world, but the idea of being locked into an office for specific hours just didn't appeal to me.
Yeah.
So when you have your own business, you end up working longer hours, but at least you get to call the shots.
Right. Right. You get freedom. And that's been my path too. So
yeah.